the technology players, the supply side of the ecosystem, doing something, innovating something, putting it up in the market, and consumers will follow suit. Gone are those days. There was a time earlier, maybe 2 decades back when I started my career, we used to do a lot of studies where new concepts used to come in, we used to test in the market and see how consumers' adoptions are going to really take place and stuff like that. Now it's the other way around. Consumers are miles ahead, and we all are trying to catch up. As a market researcher, as a consulting organization, one of the largest in the world, TNS's job is to bridge the gap between you and the consumers. And we all are struggling to do that because it's changing very fast. And before we really decide on whether this is the trend which is shaping up, completely a new thing really is coming up into the horizon. So in this session today, in the next 15 odd minutes, what I intend to do is to share with you some of the trends that we have been observing, particularly in India. Some of those trends are there. We have seen it happening globally. As we work with several organizations across different countries in the world, in the digital domain, in the mobile domain, understanding the consumers, their trends. Apart from those studies, we do have a few other things that we do of our own. One of that is called connected life, as we call it. Understanding this entire, the connected audience, what do they do? What are their, slices of the life? How we can benefit out of it? What are the trends emerging? And it's a huge study that we do across different markets. So some of the findings from that, some of the trends which we think is important for us to understand and we can leverage from, that I'm going to share with you. Well, can I have the display here, please? Otherwise, I have to talk turning on the, okay. All right, by the time it's coming, different markets are at different stage of its evolution, and there are characteristics of different markets. There are some markets which are multi-device centric. We are not really rich enough to be a multi-device kind of a market like, you have the US and UKs of the world, or on this side of the world you have Singapore or Korea. But one basic difference between those two markets are the legacy large leading markets are very PC-centric, and they're adapting towards mobile. And some of the markets like Singapore and Korea, which is a mobile-centric multi-device market, while we, the Indians, are again a single-device market and absolutely mobile-centric. We're doing a study some couple of weeks back, and that really shows that there is a huge number of internet users today who don't use PC even, for a period of 3 months or so. I'm not talking about those people who have graduated to internet directly to mobile. Obviously, there is one population like that. Even a population who used to use PC, today, they don't really have a need to touch the PC, be it a desktop or a laptop. So that's the kind of a change that we are talking about. That's the kind of a change probably 6 months back we would not have thought of. On the trend, we have been talking about how do I market to these people, what kind of media mix we should be having to reach to this audience. We can classify different markets in terms of whether it's a highly digital influence market, that means the countries where digital influence is very high, which could be on the upper side, and the lower ones. And in terms of social engagement, where there are some markets where social engagement is very high, vis-a-vis some markets where social engagement is low. If you classify all the countries into these 2x2 metrics, we find that different kinds of markets are getting placed into 4 of these quadrants that are emerging. India, that you get to see here, which is a part of the functional market. A couple of years back, it was more on the left-hand side, but the social engagement is definitely increasing. It is going more on the right-hand side, and maybe a year or 2 down the line, it is actually going to get into a connectors market kind of characteristics. But still, if you look at the majority of India, it is still a functional market. Very important for us to really understand whenever we are connecting or we are trying to connect with this audience with any kind of proposition, be it brand, be it communication, that it's the functional mindset that we really need to take into account into all our strategies. But India being India always surprises us. If we further zoom into the functional market of India, we actually see a complete polarization that's happening. There is one type of people whose characteristics are very leader type. That means these are the people who are not only early adopters, they're the people who are setting some of the trends in the market, and there is another type which remains the functional. So any strategy that we may be designing for Indian digital audience, be it mobile, be it otherwise, we can't be thinking about just one type and it is just one India. Like somebody very nicely said, there is a story of India, there is a story of Bharat. And we need to keep that thing in mind because both the side of this audience are huge in numbers. We just can't ignore either. We do have very high mobile usage, we all know. The numbers are in millions and increasing every month. And as compared to other markets, we use lesser number of devices. That reduces our complexity as a marketeer, as somebody who wants to really connect with those consumers, because we have a lesser challenges of connecting through multiple devices, but at the same time, we have other challenges which we need to take care. When we look at what all we do and how we come across different media throughout the day, starting from getting up in the morning and picking up the mobile, checking emails or messages and everything, till we hit the bed, we already are in a situation where our interactions with the mobile has really, or anything to do online, has really crossed any kind of media. It's only around the dining time when TV somehow comes close to that. And this is I'm talking about the internet users base of India. Throughout the day, the best way of reaching to me as an internet user is online. It's no more TV, it's no more print, it's no more any of the other options that we have been taking it. And that also creates another challenge, at the same time opportunity for the brands. Think of Starbucks. I wish we could show an Indian brand here. Maybe next year I will be doing so. Starbucks, we did this analysis. Throughout the day, how the equity is changing. It's not that during different parts of the day, it is the same equity that a brand is really having. It changes. And the market share, if I could really measure it at different parts of the day, is the brand living up to that expectation, that the pull factor that the brand has, that equity at that particular situation? Not really. Even a big brand like Starbucks is not in a position to do that. So that essentially tells us that if we forget about looking at our brand and marketing as a big mass of communication and looking at only on the big picture, and for a moment we look at the micros, we understand that what kind of opportunities we are missing. You could see even a brand like Starbucks, which is actually unparalleled in many markets. There's so much of gap it could bridge if it could fit at that particular point of time, do some communication, do some activities, do some promotions. We could not have even thought of thinking anything around that had it not been the case that it's the mobile which is enabling us. All these are possible because today we have mobile in the hands of all our consumers. They're always connected and they can be reached by that. However, we discussed that in the morning. It's a very disproportionate way the efforts are going. For different kinds of media, the kind of share of time that's going behind that, and the kind of money that's going behind that, India is quite disproportionately disbalanced. And this is not the story only for India. There are many markets well, US is correcting to some extent. The gap is not as much, but many other markets where the gaps are pretty much somewhere close to that. We are disproportionately spending much higher on the media, which people are no more really using it. For a 7% print media, we are spending 42% of our dollars. For a 58% time that I am spending as a net user, internet user, collectively this industry is spending only 12% of the revenues. Look at the opportunities that we are missing here. And India does not really stop surprising us. Internet users today have crossed the threshold of consuming TV vis-a-vis consuming online video. There was a time when it was more or less on the similar band. We were consuming almost the similar amount of television and online video, but we have already crossed that and gone into more on the right-hand side of this picture. That means a typical internet user today are consuming more video with the device rather than a television. I mean, around 3 years back, I had an uncanny feeling, something wrong with me. I stopped watching television. And it just happened. It was a planned one. Then I realized that I don't watch television, something wrong. And now today I get an assurance there's nothing wrong with me. There are many other people like me. I mean, like last time I watched a TV was Cricket World Cup, and prior to that was Football World Cup. In between, I've never watched TV, and there are many people like that. There are many people who have not even watched those World Cups on the television. They're consuming videos, but there are many other avenues for them to consume videos. Opportunities for marketeers again. And these connected Indians who are spending a lot of time on video and otherwise, they are very willing to engage with the brands as compared to the global counterparts. There is a higher willingness for all of us to really connect with the brands. Another opportunity, another green signal for us to really connect with them. And in terms of engaging with the brands online, again, there is a higher trend that we get to see as compared to what the global trends are. Now, if you compare what the expectations that we have from the brands, we demand a lot. So the brands need to really play multiple roles in this online, all the activities. Some has to really play a role of saving time, some has to give an access, some has to really give a sense of getting an exclusive product. So this is multifaceted. And there are different audience, different segments whose demands are of different type. But collectively, if I see, you can see that it's more of a circle. That means almost each of those elements have some taker of the other. As we observe the markets are developing, we also observe people are doing more and more research online and at the same time buying online as well. And India is somewhere which is on the positive side on the product purchase online. Not yet really has gone to the upper side where the research online also goes beyond half mark that we have. But the way the trends are, we are going to observe more of upward movement of India from here. And that definitely means higher probability, higher chance of connecting with them and helping them, guiding them in this entire part to purchase. And as we see, again, within India, the categories which are of higher involvement, we get to see a very high degree of research online is happening. So you get to see pretty much a linear kind of a relationship between the categories in terms of how they're getting researched online or getting bought online. It's polarized, and more categories are coming on the right-hand side top corners. So more and more categories where engagements are really increasing, involvements are increasing, are being researched online, are being bought online. But it does not come without challenges, obviously. E-commerce has its own challenges. We are pretty much on the left-hand side in the entire e-commerce ladder. And that too thanks to last couple of years, thanks to the big brands who are really making a revolution in the e-commerce industry. Yeah? But still, for the mass, access is still an issue. And once we really overcome that, that really becomes a much easier game for taking this audience on the path-to-purchase journey. And as we graduate, there will be bigger challenges, and we better prepare ourselves on those. Trust is the next one, experience being the third one, and the price and the specific choice-related barriers, which is the most mature markets issues that we are going to face. All right, so to come to a situation where we can leverage out of this, there are different multiple ways of reaching to this audience. We need to be at the right time, right place, for the right reason, as we were discussing earlier as well. Without a proper reason, no consumer, none of them are really going to even look at us. Forget about downloading an app or going through our site. So it has to be with a proper right reason at the right time when they want us rather than when we want them to be there. And we must not forget that there are two India that we need to really cater to. There is one leader India, there is one functional India. Their needs are different, their characteristics are different. So, to imperatives, or my last slide, and some 6 trends which I request you to keep in mind when you are leaving this place. Digital has to be made a bigger priority. I mean, there is no looking back from there. It is the priority. It's no longer just an opportunity. It is the necessary. It is the trend today. Differing levels of access to devices has really created a polarized audience. We have to take care of both the sides of this polarized scale. Contextual targeting has to be done for the growth. Mass marketing, the extension of our theories and mindsets and processes from the TV and the print media is not going to really work. It has to be contextual if we want to really get those opportunities. Mobile may not be big yet, but we need to sharpen out this mobile strategy right away because this market adopts very quickly. We have seen many areas we have seen we are the pioneer. We have actually shown the trend to the Western world. So we better equip ourselves before consumers really goes beyond our sides. And the content marketing is a major opportunity, and we have discussed enough about the content marketing so far, and we have to prioritize it. It is easier said than done, no doubt about it. But yeah, a lot of understanding of the consumers are required to really make all these 6 points work for all of us.